Hey, welcome back, podcast friends, to another episode. And in today's episode, we want to answer a question that we tend to get asked quite a bit. And that's basically talking about if one person in a relationship is wanting to get healthy, but the other person isn't quite on board yet, what can you do about this? And that's why um, we think that this is actually probably more common than most people think. And so we wanted to just kind of give you some ideas of things that we did and things that we've been passing on to these other people. And we thought, well, maybe everybody'd like to hear this. So, and the very first thing is never, ever, ever say anything negative about your partner. Don't do anything negative if they're not wanting to join you. This has to be your journey, and then just allow them to help you with your journey until they can start seeing for themselves how well this is going. So the main thing is just lead by example.
Right. I mean, and one of the things is you should be having hopefully conversations with your partner or spouse all the time. But having a conversation with them, letting them know what you're wanting to do. You would love it if they wanted to join with you, but if not, that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
And so that goes. So when they see how strong your why is, then maybe they can help you to reach your why. Maybe even though they don't want to right yet, hopefully they will eventually.
Right. Knowing your why is going to be huge. And not only for you to know your why. Why do you want to get healthy? Why are you sick of being unhealthy and being on medication, going to the doctors all the time and wasting all your money on non-food things? Why? What is your why? And let them know that so they can help you as you start, achieving your little milestones. They can help you in the celebration. And actually, by you letting your partner know what your why is, it might actually solidify it in your own brain even more, because finding your why is really what's going to keep you on when you go through those stumbling times, those times when you want to fall off, you just want to eat something unhealthy or everything. That is when you really have to look at your why and focus on that, and that's going to help keep you on. And as your partner sees you doing that, then that's going to give them some examples of what they can do as well.
Right. And one thing is you definitely don't ever want to judge them or be negative. So let's say you've gone to a restaurant, you've got your bunless hamburger, and instead of the fries, you got the broccoli, and they still got their hamburger the same way they always have, and they got the French fries, maybe even got some appetizers of whatever. But just
Desserts.
let them do that, and you continue to do what you're wanting to do. Keep being healthy. Don't ever say anything or look at them. Don't give them a look or roll your eyes by any means.
Right.
But just don't do that, and over time that will definitely help move them towards wanting to do what you're doing, especially with some other things that we're going to talk about.
Exactly. Because that is health too. When you talk about health, it's a healthy body by giving your body the nutrients, but it's also a healthy relationship. So you guys can help grow together, grow with each other, help each other, do these. If you're doing a major habit change or lifestyle change, which is what this is going to be for most people, when you're doing that, it is so much better if there's someone else doing it for you. It's like anything with a great relationship. Anything that you do that's fun and exciting, it's twice as fun and twice as exciting when you're sharing it with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you're going through some really lows, some really down parts of what's going on in your life, it makes it half as bad when you're with somebody else. So either way, sticking together, keeping a healthy relationship is by far going to be extremely important through this. So don't do anything to mess that up by, like Theresa said, rolling your eyes or judging or getting mad at them because they're eating something that you would like to eat, but you know how unhealthy it is, and so you're not doing it. Just stick with doing this for yourself and realize you're trying to attract your partner into it with you just as slowly as you can, and showing them that some of these choices, that just like the title, our title is Simple Healthy Choices for Weight Loss, and that's because that's really what it is. It may not be easy to change, but just simple little changes, like when you go out to eat, most people want to get sweet tea or they want to get soda pop or something like this, and you order water. Just you order water. In fact, when we first started doing this, when we were trying to get healthy, it was our youngest son who he was actually getting pretty obese because he was eating the same stuff that kids would do, in whatever he was, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, something like
Something.
that. He was getting heavy on his own, and we were fighting through this because we were trying to lose weight ourselves. We wanted him to do it, but we didn't want to push him just like this. And without saying anything, he is the one who started ordering water every time we went out. Theresa and me and our oldest son, we kept ordering pop. We kept ordering Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and all this other stuff. And our youngest son is the one who changed the water. And it made us start changing the water. It's like, my gosh, he's doing this and he's in sixth grade. Maybe we should start doing this. And that's actually when we thought, that's right. Maybe we should just eat water, something, or drink water. So just easy things like that. Of water instead of pop, or
and he gave up chips. He totally gave up chips.
Yes, he totally gave up chips.
You can sit down with a bag of chips and eat the whole thing. So he totally gave up the chips and lost. I mean, that was two things he did, and he lost weight. Another thing you could do is also make it fun. And so a fun way to do this would be to cook together. Even if it's just one night a week, to cook together, find something that you guys love to eat. Maybe it's pizza. Go to YouTube, put in healthy pizza options or recipes. And then I would even put in like keto, something like that. So you're going to not get like sourdough bread. I mean, it's still fine, but just so the sourdough bread is not there. You can have it if you don't have any weight, if you don't have like a bunch of weight to lose. But like there's people used ground chicken to make a pizza crust. They'll use, I don't know if you've been seeing all the cottage cheese recipes, but they do cottage cheese to make your pizza crust. And really, if you think about it, crust doesn't taste like anything. It's all the flavors and everything that you do on top of it. The same with pasta and any of those things. They don't taste like anything. It's everything else that you put on it. So you can make those things healthy. And so you can make that fun. Look up a recipe, and at least maybe once a night, you're going to have a date night because that's good for your relationship as well. And then you could cook. Just go ahead and cook at home. Or if you go out, look for healthier options. We'll do that sometimes. I'll pull up the restaurants online and look and see what there is, because you don't want to be making a big deal. It's like, well, I can't eat anything here. You don't want to do anything like that. You're just there's something you can eat there. So just look ahead of time, and then you can find something, a better option, because there's always meat and vegetables. There's always a salad, vegetables and meat.
Right. And so that's when you're looking for healthy, because as you've seen, if you've listened to any of my podcasts, that depending on where you look for healthy choices, a lot of the stuff that's going to be out there is a thing that's being publicized by our food companies, which is the exact wrong choices to do. So if you see something published by them, they're going to be telling you something that's really healthy, like eating oatmeal for breakfast and, having orange juice along with it, just stupid stuff that it makes no sense whatsoever. That's horrible stuff for you to do. It's sugar, sugar, sugar. So when you do this, like something that our son does, our oldest son, with him and his fiance, what they do is they plan what they want to eat for a night. They look at the recipe, and whatever fruits or vegetables that are in there, they make a list of what they're going to eat. And they go to a farmer's market and they buy them fresh from a farmer's market right then. And then they come home and they make these meals together. So if you have your meat from a local farmer, if you buy a side of beef or something like that, and really any meat, as long as it's whole, real meat, not from the industrialized cattle and everything, but if, from a deli, local farmers are always the best ones to get this from. But just like Theresa said, go out and get your healthy meat, get your healthy food, buy your stuff from the local farmers, from your farmers markets. And then you get back and you're sitting there and you're putting together, you're making a meal that's going to make you both healthier. You're having some quality time doing this together. It increases your relationships in so many different ways. And some of these things that you do are so easy. I mean, like what we'll do, if we say you want to have hamburgers tonight, we know what we mean. That means just the hamburger patty, no bun. But still, if you want to get lettuce, especially from a local farmer, tomatoes, especially from a local farmer, if you want to, if
pickles,
you want, pickles, get all these things from the local farmers if you can. And just, if you do go, and even if you do go to the grocery store, even though most of the stuff out there is horrible for you, there are companies that are starting to make more and more healthy choices. And a big thing, when you turn your jars around and look at the ingredient list, the main thing you want to look for is don't look at what they put on the front of the labels, because they lie about that stuff too. They'll say, oh, made with real avocado oil, and you turn it around, the very first ingredient is soybean oil or safflower oil or one of these horrible toxic oils. And way down at the bottom of the ingredient list, you'll say, oh yeah, we put a drop of avocado oil in there also. So don't be fooled by other marketing ploys to try to get you to buy their stuff. Actually look at it and see, make sure that there's no vegetable seed oils on the ingredients. And if there's not, and and sugar, obviously they put that in everything, but there really are condiments out there that don't have that. But hamburgers without buns, taco bowls without the shells, just
Or
don't.
chips.
Yeah, or the
You
chips.
can still have guac. You can still have even cheese. Have a little bit of cheese, sour cream, lettuce, tomato, the meat.
Yeah.
That's all Mexican food is.
And it's real food. It's real food. And just like I say with pizzas, most of the toppings are perfectly fine. You got your sausage, your pepperoni, your cheese, your onions, your
Vegetables.
peppers, all the stuff on there is fine. It's just the crust. And it really does make a huge difference, because once you put a carb in your mouth, especially one of these ultra processed carbs with the chips and the crust and all that kind of stuff. Anytime you put that in your mouth, you automatically raise your insulin levels. And because all those are based out of glucose, they all have the basic building block of glucose. So anytime you eat a non-animal product, anything's non-animal is basically going to be a carb. And all carbs are made out of glucose. So when you put your glucose in your blood, you're going to raise your insulin. And once your insulin levels are high, now everything's off, because you've already told your body to start storing fat. So all the rest of food, even if it's protein or fat that you're eating, it's going to be stored as fat. And that's what you don't want to do. So as long as you keep those carbs, those unhealthy carbs off, and eat all the healthy, the real meat with the real animal meat, real animal fat. And then if it is going to be a fruits and vegetables or vegetables, just make sure that they're not the real starchy ones. Stick to your green leafy vegetables, your Brussels sprouts, and lettuce and peppers, all those kinds of things. But anyway.
Yeah. And so we do go, we were both on that podcast. So we both go into more about what we eat and examples in podcast 89, Whole Foods for Diabetic Freedom. So if you want to go check that episode out, we'll put a link below, and then you can hear all of our examples of what we do and what we eat most of the time. So you can do that. Yeah.
So we won't waste any more time on different things, but there are lots of options, of eating healthy, and just, there's usually just one little thing that you need to get rid of that's making a whole meal really bad.
Oh, and another thing, and I know we didn't even think about this because our kids are grown, but if you are somebody, you're married, you have younger kids, going to the farmer's market, taking those kids with you, making it a family day, you're going to cook together that night, you're going to shop for the ingredients together, and then you're going to go home and you're going to all cook together. And that's teaching your kids how to cook. And it just is a really good bonding time. If you follow Maria Emmerich, she's all about cooking with your kids, so she has so many recipes, and they're all keto, very low carb. And so she has some really great recipes, and she endorses cooking with your children.
And again, her name is Maria Emmerich.
It's Emmerich. So I will put her below as well. So I gotta remember that.
Yeah, we'll have to remember to do that.
Okay. Yeah.
But and that's huge, because that's the other thing. You start off doing this for yourself, as you should. This is for yourself. Don't be negative on anybody who's not doing it with you. But when you do start doing it for yourself, and your spouse or your partner does come along with you, and then you have your kids and you're raising them, I want to tell you by example, this was huge, because right now our sons are 27 and 30, and they both eat very well. They eat healthy, they exercise, they cook at home, and it makes us feel so great, because we know that they're not worrying about their health. They're not going to the doctor all the time. They're not having to go to the hospital all the time. They're not getting on all these medications, because people used to not get on blood pressure medications, all this stuff, till they were in their 40, 50, 60s. And now we have patients who are on blood pressure medicine that are still in their teens, because of the same reason, because of all this horrible, ultra processed, man-made food that we're eating. And we've gotten away from the God-made food. And that's what we need to stick to. But anyway.
Yeah. So back to our tips.
That's right.
Yeah. So another one is knowing your partner. And so Steve and I, this is a perfect example of us being opposite. So I think most people that get married are opposite. You have very similar goals and similar things that you want to achieve together. but you're opposite usually. And that's, you can't, it's harder. I think it's more of a struggle with couples that are the same. So like for us, like he would be the type person, or is the type person, to go cold turkey. It's like, oh, he's going to start doing this. He's going to I can't eat this, or I shouldn't. We don't want to ever say you can't. You can eat anything you want, but maybe he shouldn't eat carbs or breads, pastas, chips, all those things. So he does that. Says for me,
Yeah, I can stop all that with no problem
Yeah.
whatsoever. If I know that this is a quick way to my health and I'm not going as slow as I can, I want to get there quick. If I know I want to be healthy, just do it now. Find out what you need to do and what you need to stop doing, and just do it.
Right. And so I'm more of an ease into it, kind of get used to it. So let's say, which I don't anymore, but I used to drink Diet Coke. And so one way to get rid of drinking Diet Coke is to drink like Bubblies or Waterloos or whatever your sparkling waters are called. That way, because usually people, besides the sugar, they like the fizz. They like that fizz when it hits their tongue. And so that's a good way to break away from that. So that's easing out of that, is where Steve would just be like, I'm not drinking it anymore, which is what he did. So just really know your partner. And you know what they're like, if they're, maybe your partner doesn't want to do it because he is a cold turkey kind of a person. And he's like, but he's just not ready, because he just knows that when he commits, and maybe
he wants to make sure that it works. And if you show him, oh yeah, this definitely works, then maybe he'll say, okay, then I'm going to do it. And I'll jump right on board. So yeah, knowing how they change their habits is going to be a very, very important thing to realize.
Especially if you're a person like Steve, and if he was trying to get me on board, he would just know. It's like, she's not going to give up Diet Coke right now. She's going to have to maybe cut back to 2 a day, and then the rest of the time with the sparkling waters. You see what we're saying? It's like, so just, it really goes back to the judging and being negative to your other partner. You just can't. And so one of the ways, of course, is to know your partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they're like.
So now the next thing we want to talk about is different ways that you can help them, because there's so many things out there, and there are so many people. I mean, it's just getting bigger and bigger. We go to conferences all over the United States, and I know there's conferences all over the world that people are going to also, and we will eventually. But so many people, physicians, dietitians, nurses, pharmacists, physical therapists, I mean, just all walks of life, medical field, non-medical field, everybody's realizing, just by looking around and seeing how horrible our health is, and realizing that we have been duped since our dietary guidelines came out, when they were telling everybody that eating fat is what makes you fat, and it's all about calories. Just eat less calories and exercise more. And these are all lies. These don't work. They make no sense whatsoever. And that's what my podcasts are for. But so there are a lot of podcasts, not just mine, obviously, but there's a lot of podcasts, there's YouTube videos, and sit down and watch these things. If one of you sees something on this, show the other one. So you guys kind of get into these together. We'll go for walks in the morning. We'll put our beats in, and we'll just sit there and we'll watch or listen to a podcast together. So we're walking together. So that's bonding time together, and we're listening to a podcast on eating healthy together. And it just kind of starts opening up doors. You start seeing who people are interviewing, and then you want to go to their podcast or see where else they've been interviewed, or if there's books that these people have written, and look at the books and see who's saying that this was a good book, and then go watch them, and just kind of slowly build up your library of the people that you know, like, and trust on how to truly get healthy. And it's not by listening to the drug companies and the food companies, because they want you sick. They don't want you healthy. They're in it for the business. That's not their fault.
And another thing, just going back to the podcast. So if you're the one that's being healthy, and you're wanting to, because sometimes they got to hear it from somebody else besides their spouse. So if you're going to find another person on the podcast, make sure that's the type of person that your spouse would be interested in listening. So if Steve's trying to help me, maybe he's going to find a woman, maybe, that I would think was really interesting. I'm guessing, but especially for a man, I think maybe a woman would want to find a man that's speaking about all this, Dr. Ken Berry or Anthony Chafee, or, all these different
Jason,
Ben Bickman. Well, you've heard us talk about a lot of these people, but, because Ben Bickman is very sciencey. And if your spouse, your husband, is not sciencey, he may not like it. You may have to go somebody that's not quite into the science of it. Anyway, you see what we're saying? It's like, it goes back to knowing your partner, and that would be very helpful, versus you're having them listen to a podcast and they aren't interested. They don't like this person. They don't like what they're saying, something like that. But
Right.
right.
Yeah. And just like Trish said earlier, this is huge as a bonding moment, as far as, most people when they're together, the important things you think you're on the same line, your ultimate goals, how many kids you want to have, where do you want to live, what do you want to do for your life, whatever the things that bring you together. But being totally different like we are, that's so much better, because when you're totally different, it's so easy to get tunnel vision that you don't realize that you're thinking down a certain path. And then your spouse or partner or whoever comes along next to you and they look at things totally different, and they tell you, now it makes it, you look at just a little bit different. It's like, well, I never thought of it that way. That's a great way to do it. So that's why we were talking about that. So when you listen together, she may listen to something, and that's what she does all the time. She's always listening to podcasts, YouTube, and she's the one who tells me, oh, you're going to love this. And then because I don't get to listen to him that often. So I just focus on whatever she tells me. And then we can talk about it together. So it's like we're supporting each other in this health, because we're both finding the same people that we like to listen to, and we can share our win with each other.
Right. Right. So, and that's another thing that you could help your spouse to, hopefully, get them to come over to the other side of healthy eating, or the side of healthy eating, but would be like, get your wins. Like, so what's happening for you? It's like you went to the doctor and your blood pressure's down, or you just went to put on your favorite belt and you get to go down a size, because you know where it always goes, but you get to go a size tighter. You can share those things. You can share your weight loss if you want.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, definitely all the medical things that improve. You can definitely, but you
Oh
can
my
share
gosh,
all
yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Because if you really do, if you are on medication, especially if you're on medication where you have to take the same medication every single week, blood pressure meds, cardiovascular meds, depression meds, so many different meds that you can get off very, very easily if you change your nutrition, because there's all kinds of medications that people are taking just because they think that they're getting off easy because they can take a pill instead of changing nutrition. And they find out very quickly that is not true, because anytime you take a pill that you're taking every single week, it's called a maintenance drug. Anytime you do that, you are going to be increasing the number of medications added, and you're also going to be increasing the doses that are added, because you've never changed the root cause. And the root cause almost every time is your body doesn't have the nutrients it needs to function appropriately. And that's your job. That's your fault. You have to give your body the nutrients it needs. And I've talked about this all the time, just real quick. The nutrients your body needs, it has to have amino acids, which that comes from protein, eating good animal protein, which means animal meat, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, eggs, any of that. You've got to have fatty acids. You have to eat fat. Our body uses fat for so many vital things in our body, and you have to get them for your essential fatty acids, omega-6 and omega-3. You can't get those. Your body doesn't make those. You have to get that from the food you eat. But with the amino acids, the fatty acid, then your vitamins and your minerals, and then water. Those are the 5 nutrients that your body needs. You will not get that with the ultra-processed man-made food in the box, bottle, bag, can that you're getting in the stores. They have no nutrients added and nothing but toxic substances that are affecting our lives. And obviously, it was affecting ours. That's why we decided to change. And it's assuming it's affecting yours, and that's why you're listening to the podcast. So don't be discouraged, because none of that stuff is healthy. When you go to the grocery stores, oh my gosh, what can I eat? All these labels are horrible. That's true. So quit going to the grocery store for your food. Go to your local farmers, if you can, or the deli, shop the perimeter. Yeah. Anyway, we talk about that. So yeah. Back to what we're supposed to be talking about.
So another thing is you could be saving money and putting it to better use. So if you're always, I know we've told the story, but we were at Walmart and the guy that was in front of us, and he had his child with him, and his cart was
a teenage child.
Yes. And we just commented on how expensive their food bill was. There wasn't any food in that cart.
Yeah, we looked over and looked in the cart, and there was no food.
It was like
chips, crackers, cookies, fruit juice,
Gatorades.
Gatorades,
cereals, chips.
Frozen pizzas. Just all this stuff they had no nutrition, and they were spending all their money on that instead of spending a little bit, or probably quite a bit less, and actually getting the types of food that actually nourish your body and keeps you feeling full. When you eat that kind of non-nutritive crud, it makes you more hungry. So you keep wanting to eat it. So you feel like you're starving all the time because you are. It is designed that way. And I know I've been talking about this a lot, but I did a podcast 66 and 67 talking about all how our food, our carbohydrate addiction is by design. They know exactly what they're doing. There's a specific recipe that they go through to get people addicted to their food. And that's part of it, is keep them hungry all the time. So they're constantly buying more and more food. So don't waste your money. People say, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthy. No, it is not. That is just, you either make progress or you make excuses. You cannot do both. So anytime you find yourself making excuses, that means that you know you should be progressing somewhere and you're choosing not to. And now you want to act like, oh, there's all these reasons why I can't do what I need to. So once you find yourself making excuses, just stop. Just stop and say, what is my why? Why do I actually want to quit making excuses and want to make progress instead? But so don't be concerned that this is going to be very expensive, because it's not. The other thing, all this food, when you eat all this ultra processed food with no nutrition that keeps you hungry, that's why they tell you that you should be eating about every 5 to 6 times a day. That is a lie also. They just say you should because that's the way their food forces you to eat, because it makes you starving since you have no nutrients. So that's when you start eating healthy, you're going to find that you can actually go many hours, 12, 13 days, one or 2 days if you want to, but it's easy to go 16 to 18 hours without putting any food in your mouth, because when you give your body nutrition, you don't get hungry all the time.
Right. And then he always says, you're not going to be spending any money on any medications, doctor bills, hospital bills. So it's just a win-win.
And when you buy your food, remember what you're doing is you're voting with your money. That's what you're doing. So if you're going to buy food and you have money, you say, okay, I can go to the grocery store and give my money to all these great big food companies that are trying to make me sick. They want me to make me sick because they also want me to get put on medication. So the drug companies want you sick so they can have their medications. You can give your money to all those big corporations who don't care about you at all. Or you can give your money to, like I said, your local farmers. Go find a farmer's market somewhere near you. Buy your real fruits, real vegetables that doesn't have all these chemicals that the food companies are putting on it. Buy your meat there, so it doesn't have all the stuff that they're putting in our meat. But you're choosing what kind of food you want to eat by where you put your money. That's you're voting for who you want to have put your health in their hands. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend you put it in the local farmers and not in these big corporations.
Right. So you could even save money on your food bill, and maybe you could go out for the weekend and go somewhere, so that's putting your money to better use as well. So.
And there really is, when you go out to eat at different places, there's so many, there are good, like most things at Mexican are not healthy because everything has a shell on it. So just get rid of the shell. What we do, like 95% or more, 98% of the time, when we go to Mexican, we just get the fajitas and don't get the shells. We just split. We'll split the fajitas together, and each of us will just split it and put nothing but all the meat on our plate, and that's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. And if you want to add the guac and sour cream and all, go ahead. That's not the problem. The problem is the shells
and the chips.
And which are still shells. Yeah. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But even somewhere like that, and if you go to Italian, it's very hard to eat because obviously pasta is horrible for you. So just eat the things that don't have pasta. Eat the chicken marsala or something like that doesn't have all the carbohydrates on it. So you can eat healthy if you realize what you're looking for. And basically just you're looking for the things that are real fruits, real vegetables, and real animal meat with real animal fat. That's what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And so another thing that hopefully your spouse will notice is maybe that you're in a better mood. So because when you cut back on the carbs, you're going to more than likely lose weight, and you're just going to start feeling better. Maybe your blood sugar levels are going to go down.
Yep, definitely. And, and you hear the term hangry all the time. Oh, so hangry. That's from a carb addict because when you eat carbohydrates and that's your main energy source, it's very easy for your glucose to drop low. You get hypoglycemic, especially if you're taking diabetic meds. If you're on diabetic medications, which work by making diabetes worse because it makes your pancreas produce more insulin. Anyway, that's in all my other podcasts. But when you do that, Where was I going with that?
Was it the gut microbiome?
Could be, could be. Um, when you do that, you're affecting when your insulin levels are high, and that's going to make your blood glucose go low. When your blood glucose goes low, and that's all you're used to eating for your energy is glucose, because you haven't taught your body how to eat fat yet. That's when you start getting really angry. You start getting really moody. When you eat healthy, when you eat real animal meat as your main thing that you're eating, and just have your vegetables like just a condiment, just a little bit. When you do that, your blood sugar does not go low. You don't get hangry. In fact, you don't even get hungry, really. I never get hungry. Theresa will every now and then, but nothing like she used to be. So even that, the hangry, you'll get rid of that. And remember, a lot of your neurotransmitters in your brains, like serotonin, the things that can calm you down, these are actually produced by the bacteria in your gut. They produce the hormones, the neurotransmitters that your brain uses. So when you start eating horrible food, you get horrible bacteria in your gut, and that affects a lot of things. And mood is another thing. It can really make you really depressed. And if you use medications like the Ozempic and all these, that's another huge thing people complain about, is their attitude is flat. They're like, they're not excited about anything anymore. And that's things that they used to, like they used to love to walk. They don't like it anymore. They used to like to have sex. They don't like it anymore. And that's why they're starting to see a lot more people actually with suicidal ideations that are on these GLP-1 agonists. So when you stay away from the drugs, stay away from all this food that's killing your gut microbiome, and you start eating healthy, you will be happier, and you'll be more of a pleasure to be around, as your spouse will. So you can actually grow closer together as a healthy partnership, where both of you are getting healthy, both of you are getting more healthy, and you're teaching your children to be healthy, so they can stay away from all the things that are making everybody so sick.
Yeah. And just like, I don't remember what our vows were, because I think they've changed them anymore. That was 38 years ago, but it's like, it's in sickness and in health. You vowed to each other, and that means and in health. And I think people focus really on the sickness. It's like, well, if they get really sick, I'm there for them. Well, what about health? What about making sure that you're healthy? If you both have 100 pounds to lose, that's not good for either one of, not good for yourself. It's not good for your spouse or your children. So it's just such a bad thing. And it's like, but you vow to each other in health. So be healthy for each other. You made that vow so that as you get older, it's not going to affect anything today, but as you do get older, you'll be getting healthier and won't be dying early and leaving your spouse alone with, possibly, if you still have small children. I mean, this is just the disease rates right now with everything that
horrible.
Are all related to food. It's like, be healthy. Keep that promise that you made in your vow to be healthy for each other and for yourself and for your children.
And think about all the fun things that, depending on how obese you are or where you are on this spectrum, on a path, and that's what it is. If you are obese now, and you're more obese now than you were 5 years ago, and more obese than they were 5 years before that, you're on a path. If you don't change anything, you're going to be worse 5 years from now. How much worse can you get before you die, or spend most of your time in the hospitals or the doctor's bills, and spend all your money on medications? Versus if you start getting healthy together, look at all the things that you would love to do and you can't because of your health. Maybe it's something like riding on a plane. Maybe it's like going to an amusement park or riding on the rides. Maybe it's just something like carrying your grandchildren on your back. There's so many things, going hiking, going on trips, whatever it is that you enjoy doing. And it's going to be so much better when you're healthy. It is. Just trust me. We've done it. There are things that we've done is like, oh my gosh, this was miserable because we were not healthy enough to do it. But then once we got healthy, now it was fun. And then you even feel good about yourself. Remember when we used to couldn't do this, and now we do? So once you feel good about yourself, it's going to exude over to your spouse or your partner, and they're going to start seeing that. And then they're going to be, I want some of that. I want to start feeling good about myself too. I want to get off medications. I want to quit going to the doctor's office. I want to be able to do fun things.
Right. Oh, and speaking of fun things, it's going to improve your hormones, and that'll improve your sex. So if that's important, this is so big. I mean, it's such an important thing to also consider, because you need to have a good sex life if you're married.
And this is huge. Your hormones are made from most of your hormones, your sexual hormones are made from cholesterol. which is another reason why them telling you cholesterol is bad is crazy. And being on cholesterol lowering medication is crazy. And that's what you can do. When you do that, you actually can start. And that's why sexual issues is a big thing with these, statins and everything that people should never be on. But improved hormones, you're going to have better hormones and high insulin levels with inflammation or high glucose. Those three things: high blood glucose, high insulin levels, and inflammation. That is the number one reason for impotence in men. Okay. And it also is the number one reason for blood pressure, high blood pressure. So now you're going to add blood pressure medications. And that's another one of the more common adverse effects is impotence in men and decreased sex drive in women. So just the nutrition that you're choosing to eat, which is not nutrition, and choosing to be on medications, that aren't going to fix anything. They don't cure anything. You'll be on the rest of your lives if you don't change your nutrition. These things are definitely going to mess with your sex life, and that is no way you want to go through a partnership.
Right.
That's one of the greatest gifts that God gave us, for us to be able to enjoy each other, and to think that people are ruining that just because they choose to eat something that's available and addictive and affordable and all the other 5 A's of addiction.
Yeah.
So do it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So do it together. Do this together. If one of you are doing it and the other one isn't doing it, that's fine. Let them do their own path. Never say anything negative about them. Don't roll your eyes. You be you. You do you. You find out how, and this will work. If you change your nutrition, I just would almost guarantee you will be getting off of so many medications, if not all of them. Your weight will come down, and it's not how you look. It's all, if you are obese on the outside, it's a very good possibility that you are extremely fatty in all your organs. Fatty liver disease, fatty pancreas, fatty heart, fatty kidneys, fatty everything. You are storing fat on your organs, not just on your outside. And that's what's causing all the disease. And that's what's causing all the medication. So just know what your why is, stick with it, and just let your spouse come along however they want to. But I think from all this, I think the biggest thing is research things, research the healthy way to cook, fix the kinds of foods that you like, and share these podcasts, share these YouTube, share books, share these things with each other when you hear somebody that you trust, you believe, and you think could help.
Yeah. And when you get your spouse to start doing this with you, just what great accountability will you guys be for each other?
Yep.
Because there's going to be days, because it obviously, and not to be, you don't have to be perfect about doing this. There's going to be days you're going to fall off and you got to get back on the wagon. That's fine. It's really nice if you have an accountability partner that'll be there saying, hey, let's, especially if they're not wanting to fall off the wagon today. You know what I mean? It's like, they're like, why don't we just cook something healthier if like somebody's really tired or they want to just go out to eat, go through the drive-through. So if you have a partner that's like, no, let's not do that. Let's just stick with what we're doing. We want to change our lifestyle. So just having that accountability, I mean, it's right there. You live with them.
Yep.
So easy.
Yeah, it really is. So, nurture your relationship, make healthy choices, and you'll find that if you do this is a major, major goal. A lifestyle change is a major goal. And when you both do this and you both achieve it, and we see this happening all the time, it is amazing how many people that we've seen. We've only been in this nutrition era for the last 3-4 years. When we first found out, remember, I'm a doctor of pharmacy for 33 years. I've always thought the way you treat people's diseases is by giving them a medication. That's how I was taught. And now I realize that is actually the wrong way to do it. And we have found so many people that are changing their lives. And once you meet this massive goal, it gets you excited that both of you can come together. What's another goal? What's the next goal that we want to do? And it puts excitement back into your life again and makes life fun. So that's what we want for you.
Yeah. So hopefully this helps. Do you want to recap our little bullet points here? So 1, you want to lead by example, know your why. You want to know your partner. So you need to know exactly how they do things. You want to give them ways to help, sharing podcasts, YouTube videos, all that. Share your wins. Remember, you could be saving money. Well, no, you would be saving money.
Without doubt, you'd save money.
And you can go away for the weekend instead, and you'll be in a better mood. And then just be healthy for each other. Remember your vows and be accountability partners.
That's right. And We do lead by example. Anybody who knows us knows that we have a great relationship, and we went through the same thing. We were both extremely unhealthy, and we decided we was not going to let that ruin and run our lives. We were going to get healthy and enjoy it, and we do. Our lives have gotten so much better, and now that we've seen our sons, get into adulthood and they're healthy, and now their spouses will be healthy, and I guarantee their kids will be healthy, and it's a great way to be. So anyway, I know we've talked long, but we definitely thought this was an important thing, since we get this question asked a lot. So I hope this helps. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Have a great week. And always remember, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.